But see, this is if we he's the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So we know how you're gonna get it. A good understanding have all they that do Yahweh's commandments. That's how we get the understanding. We have to actually start doing them. Then they start to come. They be in your heart, which is the mind. Go ahead.
Verse 2. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law.
And this is good doctrine. This here is a good doctrine. He said, don't forsake my laws. Remember he said in Romans 7, for the law is holy, and the commandments holy, and just, and good. This is what's good. Let's get 2 John 1, 9 through 11. Then Exodus. Now we're going to get into the Passover. We already in it. We're going to get into the law there. 2 John 1, 9 through 11.
This is the book of 2 John, chapter 1, verse 9. Whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Yahawashi hath not Yahawah. He that abideth in the doctrine of Yahawashi, he hath both the Father and the Son.
So now you have to try the spirits, in other words. If they're not coming out of this doctrine, out of the word, if they're bringing some other word, now he said you got to try that spirit. He's telling you there. He said try the spirit to see whether they are a man or of Yahawah. Go ahead.
If there come any unto you and bring not this doctrine, receive him not into your house, neither bid him Yahawah's speed.
See there? He said don't even let them in. And that's the house of Yasharallah too. And it's twofold. He's like, don't deal with them. If they're not bringing that doctrine, that's what he's saying, because he wants us to do this doctrine. That's why we brought that out. If any man will do his will, they're going to know of the doctrine. This is the doctrine, doing it the way he said. He told us to do the Passover. That's what he said, not Easter. He didn't say do Easter. The people doing that Easter, hey, they out there what bunny lays eggs anyway? I haven't seen it. Doing the bunny. What they doing? Y'all, I haven't seen it. I've been like, they used to have us running around at the parks at the church, getting them eggs. I remember this, you call. I mean, hey, I found this one. Man, we was so excited going getting them eggs, trying to outdo each other and bag them up. And we thought, because that's what they taught us. Now I look back on it, man, they had us dumbed down. They really had us fooled. Go ahead.
For he that biddeth him Yahawah's speed is partaker of his evil deeds.
So he's saying you're going along and you're partakers of his evil deeds. So it's not a good thing. So he's telling us like, oh, don't be dealing with them. That's what he's saying, y'all. Let's get Exodus 12, 1 through 8. And then Exodus 12, 10 through 21. Bob Kashar.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
And that's the new moon, the new month. That's the time we in. We started the new year around this time. It's not in January. We know that they're going off with saying New Year's is in January, and that's not right. They're doing all that. Go ahead.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers.
And that's why we had to get the lamb, because the Lord commanded us to do that. Go ahead.
A lamb for a house. Verse 4. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Verse 5.
See, this is the law of how we had to do it. We had to go get that lamb. Back then, it seems like everybody was getting a lamb too. They had so many. It was plentiful because we were in rulership. We had at the times that we were in rulership. We had, with Abraham and all them, they had plenty of cattle. They had plenty of cattle, so we were able to have what we, do what we needed to do. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish.
And that's why it couldn't have no broken bones. It had to be the male. It couldn't be neutered. That's why Uriel was mentioning that. We had to be a male too. No broken horns. And we had to check all that. Remember, Yak? We went out. We had to check, make sure. Go ahead.
A male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
Go get it from out of that flock. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
And that's why we all gathered together. We all gathered together to do it. And we had to wait till sundown, just like it said. I don't know, I thought it was 6:30. That's why I was, before you call, I was like, hey man, it's getting close. But it was actually later than 6:30. It got dark about 7:30 or so. But that's why I was saying, hey, everybody needs to start coming. For some reason, I thought it was 6:30. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
And that blood was Yahawashi representing his blood that was shed. That's right. So, that blood flowing. So, Yak, you made that point. Said, oh, it's good to have that blood flowing, but yeah, we still got to throw it in the fire. But that was representing Yahawashi because the life is in the blood. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire.
That's why we had to put it on the fire. We just going according to the law. See, they didn't teach us this at no Sunday church. I was just talking about this with Rahel just a couple of weeks ago. I was like, man, what if we would have learned all this stuff way back then when we was teenagers? Where would we, how would it be? We could have been probably in our rulership by now. Go ahead.
And unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
And the bitter herbs is talking about the bitter bondage. Being in all, Egypt, the Persians, the Medes, the Babylonians, all these different captivities. That was a bitter time. And also it was bitter for Yahawashi to be beaten, and then they gave him vinegar when he was thirsty. So when I hear that, I'll be thinking a couple things. He said, I'm thirsty, and they gave him some vinegar to drink on the cross. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water.
Have to eat it, get it well done, huh? Like we like our meat anyway. This is be well done. Go ahead.
But roast with fire.
And that's what we doing. And it should be cooking pretty good out there. Go ahead, Nazar.
His head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof.
And the head, that's why Uriel was on it. He didn't cut the head off. And the purtenance, that's the intestines and all that. That's the intestines and all that stuff. And when he cut, we was able to see all that. The liver and all that, but that's why he had to leave that. The intestines had to be in.
Precept real quick.
Go ahead.
So dealing with the bitter herbs, so we don't, so we make sure to cover that. When we go back to Exodus chapter 1, starting at verse 11. It says, therefore, actually I'm going to start at verse 9. He said, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. So the Egyptians didn't want us Israelites to multiply. They were fearful that we were going to become a mightier people than them. So this is what they reasoned amongst themselves and what they decided to do. Verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses, very similar to modern-day Egypt. Us being in slavery in America, building up their kingdom in the same way we built up ancient Egypt. That's why this place is called spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Moving on, verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. We're in astonishment to these people, all these other nations. That's why they want to take out Israel, the memory of us, out of the history of the world, because we are the mightier people and the blessing is upon us. Verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. With rigor. They put hard bondage on us as a people. Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. This is why Yahawah commanded us to eat bitter herbs as part of the items on the Passover to remind us of the bitter bondage that we were delivered from.
That's it. That's the bitterness. It was hard bondage. And also what he dealt with too. That was bitter. But let's get Judith, since he brought that. Hold that for a minute, Nazar. I want him to just bring out Judith chapter 5. How they made us slaves, just to back up your yeah. Because that's what they did. It was that hard bondage.
No,
Judith 5, and 5 and 11.
This is the book of Judith, chapter 5, and verse 11. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them, and dealt subtly with them, and brought them low with laboring in brick, and made them slaves.
Right, that's the point. Made our people slaves, so that was that bitter bondage. It was hard bondage. That's the point I wanted. That's all I wanted, because Uriel brought that out. So it was the bitter herbs, and it was bitter. Don't forget Yahawashi. It was bitter. And you know why? Was it 3 o'clock when he gave it up?
Yeah.
You know why? That's the hottest part of the day. Just imagine that. Being on that cross, no shade, in the hot heat, dealing with all that. 3 o'clock. And so it was too much heat. It was heat, it was hot, he was in pain, agony,
Right.
thorns, all this. That was bitter. That's bitter right there.
Organs, sack.
Yeah, he was trying to breathe, because the Romans was butchers. They knew how to, they knew anatomy. They knew how to make it where you couldn't breathe when they did it. It was they'd have to try to lift up to get some air. So they knew the points in the body to hit with the nerves and all that. They knew all that stuff. I was looking at some documentary years ago about this, how they were doing this. It was wrong. It was wicked, but they don't pay for that.
That's right. It was bruised for our iniquity.
Yeah. We left off at
Verse 10.
yeah. Let's finish that.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 10. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
Yep. So that's why whatever's left, we got to burn it. We have to throw it in the fire. Go ahead.
And that which remaineth of it until the morning, ye shall burn with fire.
No leftovers. Because I remember when we first started, we was like, man, put Some of this, no, we couldn't save nothing. See, we was learning back then. Oh, can we save some of this? Yeah, that lamb was good, so we was on to save some, but yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand.
So Nazar was on it, we getting them staffs. He was on it.
We burned a few.
Hey, but you went and you got them. You was in it. You was reading that law. Go ahead.
And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it in obedience to Him. Go ahead.
Verse 12.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. 7 days shall ye eat.
Oh,
Salakia.
that's the enemy trap. But yeah, he was throwing it in, huh? They actually was throwing it in. That actually was them going with it, huh? Go ahead.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
See, they knew this. That's why they don't want us keeping the Passover. They rather you do the Easter eggs. Because they don't want this. They know every time we do them, walking in obedience, it's going to move them. It's going to move the Yahawashi and the Most High. It's going to move them up there.
We get a precept after that because it's just in the spirit. So, yeah.
You want to?
No.
Oh, go ahead, Nazar.
Both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
And he going to pass that judgment on them. And he's been doing it. The brothers, it's funny. He's going through there smashing the south. It was 9 tornadoes. Just 9 places got hit. It was. You guys didn't see the news with that one? 9 went through in all different southern states. Who else could do something like that? They was smashing, and they were getting killed. But that one in Rolling, Mississippi, I was talking about before, that one, he smashed a whole town. That Rolling Rock or something, whatever the name of Mississippi it was. He smashed the whole town there. So it was like just desolate. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you.
And see, we covered, Salaki and Nazar, I just wanted to say, we covered by that blood. That blood covers us. So yeah, you call that song they used to sing about, I know it was the blood. That was a true one that he shed. That one was on point. Go ahead.
To destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
So he's coming after his adversaries. And this is spiritual Egypt. Just look, everybody knows what's on the dollar bill, the pyramid. They're showing you. Those are the clues. They show it all the time. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. You got something?
No, I was just gonna say this, and this blood, like the elders going into, was pointing to Yahawashi. This is why he told us to strike it on the doorpost, so that the death angel would pass over us, and that's why we had to eat it in haste. Because after that happened, we had to get up out of Egypt. We were fleeing Egypt. We were about to be delivered. That's why he said to keep your feet, your shoes shod with the staff in your hand, because after the death angel came through, we were out of there. We were exiting Egypt, and we were on our way to the promised land. And also, that blood representing Yahawashi being delivered, just like from when he sent his only begotten son, that blood covers us, like the elders going into. We're going to be delivered out of this modern day Egypt, if we are covered by that blood. In the same way those doorposts were covered by the lamb's blood then, which was a shadow of Yahawashi to come.
God.
Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations.
So there's a cut saying it's all done away with, huh? There's a cut right there. Say we don't have to keep them laws. There's a cut right there. Go ahead, Nazar.
Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Wow. Forever? What's that? Oh, outcast? Forever? They be in the spirit with some of them songs, but I don't know if they it's in them. They be saying these things. I'm like, when I hear the songs now, I'll be like, man, that's in this chapter. You always see in Yahawashi every time. You can't get around them. Go ahead.
Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses.
And that leaven is just talking about the sin. That's representing sin. So that's why we had to do the thorough cleaning. We had to get if you had any donuts, that's why I was like, oh, did I get that last donut out? Yeah, that stuff got to get out the house. The crackers, we had to take that stuff, bread, throw it in the trash. Yeah, all that stuff had to get out. We had to get it out. Go ahead.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Salakia, Nazar. That's very serious, huh? He's saying he'll cut them off. Then they'd be wondering why stuff is happening, but all they got to do is return to their first love. Return to their first love. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation.
And that holy convocation is what we're doing, gathering together. Separate, only separate, and then coming together. We're separating ourselves from out there and coming together, like he said, in obedience. Go ahead.
To you no manner of work shall be done in them.
No working. So he's saying it. So hey, they trying to tell you to do it. Hey, I can't do it. Go ahead.
Save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
And so he's commanded us to eat the Passover. He's just saying we got to make sure we do this, and it's in remembrance of him. When we gonna get into it. Is that it on that?
God.
Let's get
Did y'all have a precept?
Oh yeah, that's right. The water. Y'all did have a precept.
Just real fast, when it comes to these commandments that the Most High God gave our forefathers, he was very specific on what he wanted us to do all throughout those days past, even today, and even in the future. And it's never changed. So this is the book of Malachi, chapter 3, and verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. And so, even though the Most High God had commanded these things, for our nation of people in days past, it doesn't mean that anything since then has taken place that causes those things that he called us to do to be disannulled. It's still expected to be exercised in this very day and even in the future, hence rehearsing those righteous acts. So, again, Malachi 3 and 6, for I am the Lord, I change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob, Yasharala, are not consumed. Because if you did go back on his word, then that means that we would be inevitably consumed. So I just want to throw that out there to let it be known that, nothing's changed according to the scriptures.
And just to back that up, Solomon said, you may say that this is new, but I tell you it was done in times past. There's no new thing under the sun. We was already doing it. That's why when you was cutting, it was in your spirit. When you was cutting it, you were seeing he already had it in him.
All praise.
Yeah, it was just going down like you did this. Then I was because Yahawashi said in the regenerations. So I was like, it was already back doing it back in that time. But that's another topic, the regeneration. That's another lesson. Is that it on that? Let's get Exodus 12, 23 to 27. Bob Kashar. Then Jump down to 41 to 42.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 23.
12.
Slakia 12, verses 23 through 27. For Yahawah will pass through to smite the Egyptians, Slakia, the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel, Slakia, and on the two side posts, Yahawah will pass over the door.
Mhm. And that's representing that blood is covering us. That's all that is. That blood is covering us through the Passover. So that's why they would put it on the doorpost and all that. That was just like Uriel said. The death angel would come through and they would see that blood. That was just representing him. So that blood from that lamb, you call, or you right. You said, oh man, that blood is covering us. It's not that blood from the lamb, but it's Yahawashi's blood. But that's just a representation. It's Yahawashi's blood.
And I'd like to add, Yakanah went into it that he is the Lord our God, he changes not.
Mm.
So everything is pointing to Yahawashi. For those who aren't covered by Yahawashi's blood, that second destroyer is coming. It's coming. In the same way, the ancient Egyptians and all those who were in the land that wasn't covered by that blood, in the same way, if they're not covered by the blood of Yahawashi on his second return, that destroyer, Yahawashi himself, is going to get him.
God.
That's right.
God.
That's right.
Go ahead, your call.
Yes, sir. And will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. Verse 24. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever.
See, we got to keep doing it. And our sons and then the grandsons, they just keep doing it. It's the law he said to continue doing. Read on.
Yes, sir. Verse 25. And it shall come to pass when ye be come to the land which Yahawah will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service.
No matter where we were scattered, we were supposed to do it.
That's right.
You know, we're in captivity, we know, but he always makes a way. It seemed like he's been doing it. He led us right to that Issachar brother that had 30 lambs. I mean, that's the Lord's doing. When we got there, we didn't know it was going to be that Issachar brother, but that's who came out with. He said, man, I want to get rid of all of them. So we have access to more. Got all that access to get more lamb now. Go ahead.
This is the book of Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 19. And it reads, And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. So like the elder said, even though we in captivity, we still got to keep it. We kept it through all our generations, so we can't use it as an excuse that this is modern time, that we in the land of our oppressor. No, throughout history, we always kept it. Paul was keeping the Passover after the ascension of Yahawashi. So we got to keep it as thus saith the Lord forever.
As you were saying that, you made me think of Naquam. He said, man, don't be like a brother just sitting in the bathroom with sackcloth. Oh, man, I'm in captivity. Can't do nothing. We're just sitting in the bathroom all day, crying.
Right.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, that was, man, he had me rolling with that one. In sackcloth all day, just crying. I'm in captivity.
But brothers use it as an excuse. We in captivity.
I can't do it, man.
I'm going to get fired from my job. I got to go to school. It's always something. They don't have faith in the Lord.
Let's jump down to 41, you call. Where were you at?
You want me to finish at 24?
Yeah, go to 27, Shalakia.
Yes, sir.
And then when you're done, jump down to 41 and 42.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 25. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land, to the land which Yahawah will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. Verse 26. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye
by this service.
See, they question it. They'll question like, oh man,